Hey everyone, welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be exploring Salesforce development,
That's right.
specifically Apex,
Yeah.
which is a super powerful language, right? So
Absolutely.
you can build some really incredible apps
Indeed.
on the Salesforce platform. And we've got a bunch of resources for you today. Like we've
Yes.
got some Trailhead modules,
Yeah.
developer guides. Think of this like a crash course on building these robust, scalable apps
That's
that
right,
can
yeah.
really handle anything you throw at them.
Exactly. Yeah, we're going to be diving into some really crucial design principles
Okay.
that will help you write cleaner, more efficient,
Right.
more adaptable Apex code.
Got it.
By the end of this deep dive, you'll have
Okay.
the blueprints to take your development skills
Awesome.
to a whole other level.
Love it. All right. So first up on our journey
Okay.
is this concept called separation of concerns,
Yes.
or SOC for
Mhm.
short. Now, this is a pretty fundamental principle in software development in general,
Yes.
and it's super important when you're working with Apex.
It's really important.
So what exactly is SOC all about?
Well, it's about breaking down your code into these distinct modules.
Okay.
Each one's responsible for a specific part
Hmm.
of your application's functionality.
Hmm.
You can think of it like,
Okay.
like a well-organized kitchen.
I like that.
You've got your pantry, you store ingredients there.
Right.
You got your stovetop for cooking, your sink for washing dishes.
Okay.
Everything has its own place.
Yeah.
It all just works together seamlessly.
That's a great analogy. I like that.
Yeah,
So instead of having this like giant messy blob of code
exactly.
that tries to do everything,
Yeah,
we divide it up into these smaller, more manageable chunks.
you got it.
Okay. So that makes sense in theory,
hmm
but how does this actually help us?
Well, for starters, it makes your code
Okay.
way easier to just
Oh,
navigate,
got it.
understand, maintain. Imagine you're trying to find a specific function
Okay.
in this huge tangled mess of code.
Yeah. That does not sound fun.
It'd be a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
But if your code is well organized,
Okay.
each module will have a clear, well-defined task.
Right.
It's so much easier to
Yeah.
find
Yep.
what you're looking for.
It's like having a good filing system
Exactly.
instead of just shoving everything into one drawer.
You got it.
Now, I do have a question about this, though.
Okay.
Salesforce is known for its declarative development tools, right?
Yes.
Where you can build
That is, yeah.
a lot of functionality
Oh.
without writing any code at all.
Yeah.
So when do we actually need to separate concerns with code?
That's a great question,
Yeah.
Declarative development is fantastic for a lot of things.
Sure.
Especially when you're dealing with some pretty straightforward customizations.
Okay.
But as your applications become more and more complex,
Oh.
you start to need things like custom UIs or really complex business logic
Yeah.
or integrations with outside systems.
Okay.
That's when separating concerns in your code
Right.
becomes absolutely crucial.
So for small, simple projects,
Yep.
declarative development might be all you need.
Might be all you need.
But when things get more involved,
Mm.
SOC becomes like your best friend.
Becomes your best friend, exactly.
Well, and we actually have a table
We do.
that kind of outlines this, right?
Yes, we do.
Some common scenarios
Yeah.
based on project size and complexity. And it looks a little something like this.
It looks a little something like this. Expert speaker shares table data with listener.
So if I'm building like a small app
Yeah.
with minimal customization, I
Right.
can probably get away with mostly declarative development.
If I could, yeah.
But if I'm working on something large and complex with
Mhm.
lots of custom logic, I definitely want to start thinking about SOC from the get-go.
From the get-go, yeah.
Now, are there any other indicators
Yeah, there are a few.
that tell us it's time to bring SOC into the picture?
For example, if you find yourself needing to
Okay.
replace the standard Salesforce UI
Right.
with a custom interface,
Got it.
that's usually a good sign
Okay.
that you'll benefit from SOC.
What about if I need to create a public API?
Also a great example.
Okay.
Building a robust API
Yeah.
usually means lots of business logic
Right.
and data manipulation.
Okay.
SOC is essential
Got
to
it.
keep your code organized and manageable.
And of course, if we're working with large data sets
Yeah.
and we need to use batch Apex
Definitely.
for processing,
Uh-huh.
SOC becomes even more important
Yeah, for sure.
for efficiency and scalability.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Big time.
So SOC is all about setting ourselves up for success
It is.
as our projects grow and become more complex.
Exactly.
But how do we actually do this
Yeah.
in Apex? What does it look like?
That is where the Apex service layer comes in.
Okay, service layer.
Service layer.
Tell me more.
This is a design pattern
Okay.
that helps us implement SOC
All right.
in our Apex code.
Got it. So,
The service layer acts as the central hub
okay.
of your Apex code.
All right.
It's where you encapsulate
Mm.
your core business logic, all those actions
Yeah.
and operations
Yeah.
that make your app unique.
Got it.
Think of it as like the brains of the operation.
Okay, so if the service layer is the brains,
Yeah.
who's giving it instructions?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah.
In this case, the client isn't a human.
Oh, okay.
It's actually other parts of your code,
Interesting.
like Visual Force controllers
Right.
or Lightning Web components
Okay.
that need to use the functionality
Got it.
provided by that service layer.
So it's code talking to code.
Code talking to code, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
So what are some of the key considerations?
There are several
Okay.
when designing this service layer.
Yeah.
What are some of the best practices?
Mhm.
Well, let's start with naming conventions.
Okay.
We want to use verbs and nouns
Okay.
that describe the service in a very general way,
Got it.
not tied to any specific client.
Right.
So, for example,
Okay.
opportunityservice.apply discounts
Okay.
is much better than something like
Yeah.
opportunityservice.handle discount for campaign X.
I see why that's important.
Yeah,
If we keep it general,
exactly.
we can reuse that method
Yep.
in lots of different situations.
Exactly. You don't have to write a bunch of different methods for
Yeah.
each scenario.
Makes sense.
Next up is platform compatibility.
Okay.
The Force.com platform is all about
Yeah.
handling data efficiently.
Okay.
Should always be designed
Right.
with bulkification in mind.
Okay. Bulkification.
Bulkification.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want a refresher.
Yeah, maybe a little refresher.
Okay.
It wouldn't hurt.
In simple terms,
Mhm.
bulkification means
Yeah.
your code can handle multiple records
Okay.
at once
Okay.
instead of processing them one by one.
Got it.
It's like if you needed to move 100 boxes
Okay.
from one warehouse to another,
Yeah.
it's much more efficient to just
Very
load them
cool.
all onto a truck,
Put them all on a truck.
make one trip,
Yeah.
than to carry each box
Right.
individually.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
Bulkification is all about efficiency.
It is all about efficiency.
All right. Got it.
And it's super important in Salesforce
Okay.
because the platform is designed
Right.
to work with large data sets.
Okay.
If your code isn't bulkified,
Yeah.
you could run into performance issues.
Right.
You might even hit governor limits,
Oh, right. Those governor limits.
which are kind of like safeguards
Yeah.
that Salesforce puts in place.
Right, to prevent code from
Yeah, to prevent code from
using too many resources.
consuming too many resources.
Got it. So
Zip.
bulkification,
Ciao.
check.
What else? Security is another big one.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
You want your code to play nicely
Right.
with Salesforce's sharing rules,
Mhm.
which control who has access to what.
Exactly.
So with sharing keyword
Okay.
and your service classes
Mm-hmm.
ensures that users can only see
Got it.
data that they're supposed to.
Like having a security guard at the door.
Like having a security guard,
Right.
make sure only the right people get in
Awesome. So we're building in security from the start.
from the start.
What about handling errors and feedback?
Well, that's where marshaling comes in.
Okay.
Your service methods
Yeah.
should focus on returning results,
Mm-hmm.
not on like
Right.
dictating how errors or feedback are presented.
So they just provide the data.
They provide the
And
data.
then it's up to something else
It's up to the client code
to handle it.
to decide how to display it
Got it.
to the user.
Okay.
Let the client code worry about
Yeah.
showing error messages or updating the UI
Oh.
based on those results.
Got it.
That keeps your service layer nice and clean and focused.
I like that.
And it gives you more flexibility
Yeah, more flexibility.
in how you handle different situations.
Efficiency and flexibility.
The best.
Two of my favorite things
That's what we like.
when it comes to development.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other best practices
There are
for the service layer
for the service layer, yeah.
that we should be aware of?
Let's talk about composite services.
Okay.
Sometimes you need to perform
Mm-hmm.
multiple operations together
Yeah.
as a single unit of work.
Right.
Like when you're transferring money
Okay.
between bank accounts,
Makes sense.
you need to debit one account
Right.
and credit the other one.
You can't just do one.
You can't just do one, right?
Right.
That's bad news.
Yeah, that would cause problems.
That would cause problems.
For sure.
Composite services handle these things
Okay.
by grouping
Right.
multiple service calls
Yeah.
into a single efficient transaction.
Makes sense.
This makes sure that all the operations
Yeah.
either succeed together
Right.
or they fail together.
Okay, so it's all or nothing.
All or nothing, exactly.
Got it. All right. So
Yeah.
we've talked about naming conventions.
Mhm.
We've talked about bulkification.
Mhm.
We've talked about security,
Mhm.
marshaling, composite services.
Yep.
What
Well,
else?
two more big ones.
Okay, hit me.
Transaction management
Okay.
and configuration.
All right.
Ideally,
Yeah.
your service methods should
Understand.
be self-contained,
Mm-hmm.
meaning they manage their own
Okay.
database transactions.
Right.
This makes them more robust,
Got it.
easier to test.
So each service method is like
Yeah, it's like
a mini
yeah,
Mitchums with a clear start and finish.
Exactly.
I like that.
And finally,
Yeah.
when you're designing your service layer,
Right.
you want to consider
Yeah.
how you'll handle things
Yeah.
like configuration overrides or optional parameters.
Right.
This gives you the ability
Yeah.
to tweak
Okay.
the behavior of your services
At it.
without having to rewrite them completely.
Build in some flexibility
Flexibility, yeah.
so we can adapt as needed.
Exactly.
Okay, this is all starting to click into place. Do you have any like real world code examples?
Yeah, let's revisit our opportunity service.apply discounts example.
Okay.
Let's start with a simple scenario. A Visualforce page
Right.
that lets a user
Okay.
apply a discount to a single opportunity.
Got it.
Expert speaker shares code snippet with listener.
Okay, so that grabs the opportunity ID,
Yep.
applies the discount, handles any errors.
It does.
What if we wanted to apply that same discount
Yeah.
to multiple opportunities?
Okay.
Maybe select it on a list view.
Mm-hmm.
Would we need to write a completely
Rich
different...
service method. That is the beauty
Oh,
of
okay.
a well-designed service layer. We can just tweak the code a little bit
Okay.
to work with what's called a standard set controller,
Yeah.
which lets us work with a set of records.
Got it.
Expert speaker shares modified code snippet.
So we're still using the same apply discounts method,
Same method.
but now it's handling a bulk operation.
Bulk operation.
That's cool how we can just
Yeah, it's really
adapt the same logic
Mhm.
to different situations.
Exactly.
And here's how you might use it
Right.
in a batch Apex job
Okay.
to process potentially thousands of opportunities.
Thousands. Yep. Here we go. Expert speaker shares another code variation.
Wow, so it's the same core logic,
Same core logic,
just different applications.
Yeah.
Like a Swiss Army knife for our code.
like a Swiss Army knife.
I like that.
Very versatile.
Very versatile.
And that's not all.
Oh, there's more.
You can even expose these service methods
Okay.
through JavaScript remoting
Right.
for really fast interactions
Okay.
from your Lightning Web components.
Yeah. So we can use the same service methods
Yes, you can.
in both Visualforce and Lightning Web components.
That is the beauty of it.
That's really powerful.
It's about creating consistency
Yeah.
and maintainability
Right.
in your application.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned earlier something about mock testing.
Yeah, I did.
And parallel development.
Yeah. Those are some powerful techniques
Okay.
that can really enhance your development process.
Got it.
And they work really well with the service layer.
Okay.
Using factories and interfaces in your service layer can
Nice.
unlock some serious efficiencies.
All right. Now, I'm really interested to see what else this deep dive has for us.
Well, buckle up, because
Buckle
next
up.
we're going to be talking about the unit of work pattern.
All right. Bring it on.
Another game changer
Love it.
for writing efficient and robust Apex code.
I'm ready to level up.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got this service layer.
Yep.
It's humming along, encapsulating our business logic.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, next we're going to explore
Okay.
the unit of work pattern.
Right, the unit of work pattern.
This pattern is all about
Okay.
streamlining your code
Right.
when you're dealing with database transactions,
Okay.
especially when those transactions involve
Right.
creating, updating, deleting.
Yeah, transactions can get messy,
They can.
especially when we're dealing with related
should.
records, like
Yeah.
creating an opportunity and its line items.
For sure.
So how does the unit of work help us manage that?
Well, you can think of it like
Okay.
a really brilliant organizer.
Okay.
It keeps track of all the changes you want to make to the database.
Okay.
Inserts, updates, deletes,
Right.
and then it executes them
Got it.
all together
Okay.
in a single optimized operation.
So it's like batching our database operations
It's like batching exactly.
to get maximum
Yeah,
efficiency.
Maximum efficiency.
So does that mean we can avoid,
Those governor limits.
it helps you avoid those governor limits?
That's awesome because
Yeah.
by grouping those operations,
Exactly.
we're hitting the database
Yep.
way less often.
Way less often.
So efficiency, scalability,
Mhm.
unit of work patterns got it all.
It's got it all.
Now, you mentioned related records earlier.
I did.
How does this pattern
It's so...
help us with those relationships?
Imagine you're creating an opportunity
Okay.
and its line items.
Mm-hmm.
Without unit of work, you'd have to create the opportunity. First, get its ID,
Yeah.
and then use that ID
Okay.
when creating the line item.
That's kind of like a juggling act.
It's a juggling act.
Yeah.
It can get even more complicated
Oh,
if you have multiple levels
Yeah, it's a lot to keep track of.
of related records. But the unit of work pattern
Okay.
simplifies all of this
That's it.
by letting you register all your records
Love it.
and their relationships.
Got it.
Up front
All right.
without saving them to the database right away.
So it's like staging the changes.
It's like staging. Exactly.
before we commit.
Yep.
Okay.
And then when you're ready,
Mhm.
you commit the whole unit of work.
Got it.
And the pattern takes care of
Okay.
inserting everything in
Yeah.
the right order
Mhm.
with all the relationships linked up.
So we don't have to worry about
You don't have to worry about it.
the order of operations.
The pattern handles it for you.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it seems like it would reduce errors too.
It does.
Yeah.
And because the unit of work pattern
Okay.
wraps those DML operations
Right.
within a save point,
Okay.
it also reduces the amount of code
Got it.
you have to write
Okay.
for error handling
Makes sense.
and transaction management.
So less code
Less
and
code
better data integrity.
and better data integrity.
That's awesome.
It is pretty awesome.
Can we see an example?
Absolutely. Let's say you're building a feature
Mhm.
to create opportunities.
Okay.
There's associated products,
Right.
price book entries, and opportunity line items.
Got it. So lots of related records.
Lots of related records. Without the unit of work pattern,
Yeah.
your code might look something like this.
Okay.
Expert speaker shares a code snippet.
Wow. That's a lot of lists and loops.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to follow.
Yeah.
And I can just imagine all the ways
Oh, yeah.
this could go wrong.
Lots of room for error.
Okay, so how does the unit of work pattern...
Let's simplify this.
First, we create an instance
Okay.
of the FLIBS object unit of work class.
Okay.
Like so, expert speaker shares code snippet.
So we're telling the unit of work
Yep.
which objects we'll be working with.
Exactly.
And I noticed the order there, products,
Yeah.
then price book entries, then opportunities,
Right.
then opportunity line items.
Mhm.
Is that order important?
The order is crucial.
Okay.
Want to specify the object...
Dependency order.
Dependency order.
Starting with the most independent ones
Right,
and
sure.
moving towards
That's
the
good.
most dependent ones.
So we need to create the products
Yeah.
before we create the price book entries
Exactly.
that reference them.
Right. And so on.
Building a house,
Okay.
you got to lay the foundation first.
Right.
Makes sense.
Right.
Now, instead of managing all those lists,
Mm-hmm.
we use the unit of works,
Yeah.
register new method,
Got it.
to tell it about the records we want to create.
Okay.
Expert speaker shares code snippet.
So much cleaner.
Much cleaner.
We're creating the objects
Yeah.
and registering them,
Duh.
but we're not actually
Not yet.
interacting with the database.
Right, we're just staging those changes.
Got it.
And you'll notice
Yeah.
we're using the register relationship method
Correct.
to link things up.
All right.
Price book entries to their products.
Right.
Opportunity line items
Oh,
to
glad.
both the price book entries.
Okay.
And the opportunities.
So the unit of work knows
Unit of work knows
how to insert them in the right order.
exactly.
I like it.
It's pretty cool, right?
You
It's
create
like
it, yeah.
building this network of connected records, and the unit of work
Yeah.
is making sure all those connections are solid.
Before we go live?
Before we go live,
So how do we actually save all these changes?
we call the commit work method.
Easy enough.
Simple as that.
Okay.
Expert speaker shares code snippet.
And that's it.
That's it.
All those records are created.
All
Relationships are all set.
all set.
This is way more efficient
Much more efficient
than the previous way of doing it.
and easier to understand.
And I can see how it'd be easier to test as well.
Absolutely, it is.
Okay, so unit of work pattern.
Yep.
A real game changer.
Game changer.
Now,
Yeah.
you mentioned that it's really useful
Is
when we have multiple service methods
yes.
that need to be part of the same transaction.
That's right.
Could you elaborate on that a little
Sure. Let's say you have a service method to create an opportunity
bit? Okay,
and another one to calculate taxes
got it.
for that opportunity.
Right.
Both of those operations need to happen
Yeah,
within the same transaction.
makes sense.
So instead of creating a new unit of work
Right,
in each method,
got it.
which would give you separate transactions,
Right. We don't want that.
you don't want that.
We want them to be together.
You want them together.
That's what we do.
You pass the same unit of work
Okay,
between those methods.
got it. So we're sharing
Scaling it.
that master plan.
Exactly.
So everyone's working in sync.
Everybody's in sync.
All right.
This ensures
Yes.
that all the operations from creating the opportunity to
Right.
calculating the taxes
Okay.
are committed or rolled back
Got
as
it.
one unit.
Okay.
Here's an example. Expert speaker shares code snippet
So we're passing that OW instance. Yeah.
to the calculate taxes method,
Exactly.
and that lets it
You're let to-
register its own updates
Yeah.
within that same transaction.
That's right.
That's cool. So we avoid
Yeah.
those partial updates.
Those partial updates, which can be a real headache.
Right. That could lead to
Yeah,
data inconsistency.
exactly. Big problems.
Okay, so the unit of work pattern combined with our service layer
Powerful combination.
lets us build this
It-
really complex business logic
It does.
in a way that's modular and efficient
Modular, efficient, reliable.
and reliable.
Yeah.
I love how all these principles are all connected.
They all work together.
It's like we're building
Yeah, it's like
the
well-oiled machine.
well-oiled machine
Piece by piece.
piece by piece.
Awesome. What else you got?
Let's see.
This deep dive has been awesome.
It has been fun.
We've covered so much.
Yeah, we have.
Started with separation of concerns.
Yep.
Then we moved on to the service layer.
which is like the brain of our application.
And now we've added the unit of work pattern
Yes.
to make our database operations
Yep.
super smooth and efficient.
Super smooth.
I feel like I've learned a ton
Good. I'm glad
about
that.
building these like robust and scalable Apex apps.
Awesome.
And the best part is,
Yeah.
this is just the tip of the iceberg, right?
It is.
There's always more to learn
Always.
when it comes to Apex.
Especially with Apex.
And the Salesforce developer community is
Uh.
a fantastic resource
Such a great resource.
for continuing that learning journey.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've got Trailhead, you've
That's
got
fair.
blogs,
But- yeah,
forums,
yeah.
open source libraries like the one we saw today
Exactly,
for
yeah.
the unit of work pattern.
Yep.
There's just so much out there.
Tons of resources.
So as you continue to learn and build,
Yeah.
think about how these principles
Mm-hmm.
could apply to your own projects.
It's a great way to think about it.
How could you use separation of concerns, service layers, unit of work to write better Apex code? To write better code, for sure. Cleaner, more efficient, more maintainable. Absolutely. That's a great challenge for our listeners. It is. Any tips on how to get started with that?
I'd say start small.
Okay, start small.
Don't try
Don't
to
overwhelm yourself.
don't try to do everything at once.
Right.
Pick one principle,
Okay.
like separating your business logic
Got it.
into a service layer.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on mastering that.
Right.
Once you're comfortable with that,
Okay.
then you can gradually introduce
Yeah.
other patterns and techniques,
Like unit of work.
like unit of work,
Got it.
into your code.
So take it one step at a time
One step at a time,
and build up your skills.
build those skills.
And remember, you don't have to do it alone.
No, you don't.
That Salesforce community is there for you.
It's a great community.
Absolutely.
So helpful, so supportive.
They're always willing to lend a hand.
Always.
And most importantly, have fun.
Have fun, for sure.
Building apps on the Salesforce platform
Yeah.
is really rewarding.
It's so rewarding.
So enjoy the process
Enjoy it.
and keep on learning.
Never stop learning.
Well said. Well said.
Thanks.
Embrace that power of modularity,
Mhm.
design with intention,
Yep.
and never stop learning.
Keep pushing those boundaries
Keep pushing the boundaries
of what's possible.
of what's possible with Apex.
Yeah.
And go build some amazing things.
Go build amazing things.
Until next time, happy coding, everyone.
Happy coding.